Hello and welcome to this video from the 10-a-day series wherein I am going to discuss 10 questions from the topic of ratios. Now for all those of you who are preparing for the CAT, we have two programs for you. One is the Power Prep program which starts from the very basics and all the content is available in the form of recorded videos. So you may check out that program by using the link in the description box below. Also for those of you who are already at a certain level in terms of your CAT preparation but you want to know the shortcuts, the kind of things that you need to look at when it comes to any question type at the CAT, there is this mastery program for you as well. Also check out the link to that program from the link in the description box below. And all the sessions, all the videos have been done by me. So if you like my teaching method, I think you will benefit a great deal by having a look at those two programs. Now let's have a look at this question wherein we have two alloys that are present and we have to figure out what exactly was the weight of the cutoff piece from each of these alloys. So try this out on your own, maybe take a couple of minutes and then have a look at the solution that's going to follow. Now first of all, we have to read the question properly. We have to understand what this question is because this question might seem a bit confusing. So two alloys of chromium have different percentages of chromium in them. So there is alloy 1, there is alloy 2. In the first alloy, the percentage of chromium might be 20, I don't know. In the second alloy, it might be 30, we don't know. But they have different percentages of chromium in them. The first one weighs 6 kg and the second one weighs 12 kg. So the weight of the first alloy is 6 kg and that of the second alloy is 12 kg. It's not necessary that the entire 6 kg has to be chromium. One piece each of equal weight was cut off from both the alloys and the first piece was alloyed with the second alloy. So I cut off one piece from each of the alloys. I took the piece from the second alloy and just merged it with the first alloy, and the piece from the first alloy was removed and merged with the second alloy entirely. So what happened is the weight remains the same, just that I am removing some part from here, attaching it here. I am removing some part from the first one, attaching it in the second one. So that is what we are trying to do. Now what is happening here is the percentage of chromium became the same in the resulting two new alloys. We have to figure out what was the weight of each cut off piece. Now if you had options, your life might have become slightly easier because you could have just said, okay, out of 6 kg if I am removing 3 kg and out of 12 kg if I am removing 3 kg, then what exactly can happen? But then you don't really have the luxury of options here. So what we can do is we can just assume some variables and try to do this. So let's say we are talking about alloy 1 and we are talking about alloy 2. Now the weight of the alloys is given to us. We know that the first alloy is 6 kg, the second alloy is 12 kg. That is what we know. Now let's say for example, we are talking about the percentage of chromium here. Let's say I am saying that the percentage of chromium in alloy 1 is A and the percentage of chromium in alloy 2 is B. And because we have different percentages, we will also be able to say that A is not equal to B. So that is what we will know. Now let's say that the cutoff piece, the piece that was cut off was, let's say, x kgs. So we can say x kg was cut off from alloy 1 and x kg was cut off from alloy 2. Now what is happening here? This x kg is going to alloy 1. So after merging, what exactly is going to happen? What will be the composition of alloy 1? We will have 6 minus x kg of the original alloy, which was A% or which had A% chromium, and we are going to have x kg of alloy 2, which would have had B% of chromium. This is going to be the construct of the first alloy after we have welded the bit from the second alloy with this one. What about the alloy number 2 or what about alloy 2? We are going to have 12 minus x kg which will have B% of chromium, and we are going to have x kg which will have A% of chromium because these x kg have been removed from alloy 1, and alloy 1 we know that the percentage of chromium is A. Now we have been told that the percentage or the concentration of chromium in both the alloys has now become the same. So let's try to see what happens. So what is the concentration or what is the percentage of chromium in alloy 1 after the merger? We have A%, 6 minus x kg. So let's write A into 6 minus x. That will be the amount of chromium from alloy 1. What about alloy 2? Bx is going to be the amount of chromium from alloy 2. Now this much chromium is present in 6 kg of alloy 1 because if I have removed x and I have added x, the weight of the alloy 1 will remain 6 kg. Similarly, if you look at alloy 2 here, we know that 12 minus x kg is of concentration B% and x kg is of concentration A%. But we know that the weight of alloy 2 is 12 kg. Now we can just cancel out these two and we know that the concentrations are equal, so we can equate them. So this is 2. If I just cross multiply now, what am I going to get? 6 into a into 2 is going to give me 12a. Minus ax into 2 will give me minus 2ax. Bx into 2 is going to give me plus 2bx. Here what are we going to get? 12 times b minus bx plus ax. This is what I'm going to get. Now if I just shuffle the terms, what's going to happen here? I'm going to get 12a minus 12b. This 12b will come here, minus 2ax, and this plus 2ax will come on to the left hand side and will become minus 3ax. 2bx plus bx is going to give me 3bx equals 0. So what can I say here? I can say that 12 into a minus b. So I have a minus b in the bracket now. What I can do is I can just say minus 3x here, and I am again going to get a minus b in the bracket. So I will be able to say 12 minus 3x multiplied by a minus b equals 0. Now if the product of two terms is equal to 0, at least one of the two terms has to be equal to 0. Now a cannot be equal to b because that is something that was mentioned to us. So we will get that 12 should be equal to 3x for this term to be equal to 0, which means that x will be equal to 4 kg. So the answer to this question is, what was the weight of each cut off piece? The answer is 4 kg for this one. Slightly difficult question, but something that can be done if you just persist with your variables and do it in an easy manner. Let's look at the next one. Now this is again a very interesting question. Just try this. It's very simple, straightforward. Just try this once and then you can have a look at the solution. Now Sam and Pam have a few 1 rupee, 50 paise and 20 paise coins each. The total amount with each of them is 5 rupees. The number of coins of two of the three types of coins that Sam has are equal, and the same is the case for the coins that Pam has, right? So we know that the number of coins of two of the three types is equal with Sam, and same thing we have in terms of Pam as well. So they have exactly two categories that are equal to each other. That is something that we know here for sure. Then what else is happening here? We also know that if Sam has the maximum possible total number of coins, then what is the number of 50 paise coins with Sam? Now some of you might find it difficult to understand what is 50 paise, 1 rupee and 25 paise, but 1 rupee is 100 paise. So this is something that works. Now we know that the total amount of money with them is 5 rupees. So let's look at what is happening here. So let's say 1 rupee, which is 100 paise, 50 paise, which is 50 paise itself, and 25 paise is 25 paise itself. Now we know that Sam or Pam, they have certain number of coins of these denominations. So what we can say is, let's say there are A coins of 100 paise denomination, B coins of 50 paise denomination, C coins of 25 paise denomination. I know that the total amount is 5 rupees. Now 1 rupee is 100 paise, 5 rupees is 500 paise. So I'll be able to say with certainty that 100A plus 50B plus 25C is going to be equal to 500, because these are the only three denominations available. I can just remove 25 from each of these terms. So I'm going to get 4A plus 2B plus C equals 20. This is my final equation that I am going to get. Now this will be true for Sam. This will also be true for Pam. So both of them will have the same equation that will be valid for each of them, and we should be fine here. Now what else do we need to know, or what do we need to do? We need to understand that the number of coins of two of the three types that Sam has are equal, and same is the case in terms of Pam. So one of these three will be equal to something else. So we can have either A repeating twice, or B repeating twice, or C repeating twice, and the other term will be as it is, right? We have to understand that Sam has the maximum possible total number of coins. Now if Sam has the maximum possible total number of coins, then we have to maximize C. Why do we have to maximize C? Purely because if Sam has to have the maximum possible number of coins, let's say the value of C is 20, then he will have the maximum number of coins. If I maximize A, for example, then A will be equal to 5. So if you look at the numbers here, A can take values from 0 to 5. B can take values from 0 to 10. Whereas C can take values from 0 to 20. So if I want to maximize the number of coins with Sam, I will have to maximize C. Now then C will become 20. But if you look at this, if you look at the options as well, 50 paise coins, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0 is not possible. Also, if you read the question carefully, Sam and Pam have a few coins each, which means that they have at least one 50 paise coin, one 25 paise coin, and one 1 rupee coin at least. So that is basically what we're looking at. So in this particular context, if we want to maximize C, we want to minimize A and B. What is the minimum value that A can take? It's not 0, it has to be 1. What is the minimum value that B can take? It's not 0, it has to be 1. So 4 into 1 is 4, 2 into 1 is 2. So you are going to get 4 plus 2, 6 plus C equals 20. The value of C will be equal to 14 here. Now we have to figure out that what is the number of 50 paise coins with Sam. So we need not even have done this. We know that if I want to minimize the 50 paise number of 50 paise coins with Sam, or we want to maximize the total number of coins with Sam, then the number of 50 paise coins will be equal to 1. So there will only be one 50 paise coin that will be available with Sam in this particular case. So now let's look at the next question that we have. So the same data is there, but there is a different question stem here. So we have the same bit and we just have to figure out what could be the maximum possible total number of coins that Pam could have. So just try this out and then have a look at the solution. Now the stem remains the same. If Sam has the maximum possible total number of coins, we already figured out if Sam has the maximum possible total number of coins, then that number has to be equal to one coin of 1 rupee, one coin of 50 paise, and of course the remaining coins of 25 paise each, which were 14 in nature. So we saw that we are going to have 4A plus 2B plus C, that is going to be equal to, in this particular case, we saw 5 or 500 divided by 25. We saw that this was equal to 20. Now we know that in terms of Sam, what is going to happen? Sam is going to have one coin of A, one coin of B, because exactly two of the three denominations should have equal representation. And in terms of C, what is going to happen? 4 plus 2, 6 plus what is 20? So 14. So how many coins will Sam have? Sam will have a total of 16 coins. Now what happens to Pam? We know that Pam has fewer coins than Sam. And I need to find the maximum possible value or maximum possible number of coins with Pam. So what will we do here? Instead of taking one here and one here, we will make both of them 2. Because it is in our best interests to kind of minimize A and B as much as is possible, and only if we make 2, 2 will we be able to minimize them. So 4 2s are 8, 2 2s are 4, 8 plus 4 is going to be 12, and that's why C is going to be equal to 8. Now we have to understand that the total number of coins with Pam is now going to be 8 plus 2, 10 plus 2, 12, and that's why the correct answer here is going to be option B for this question. Let's have a look at this question. This is a very interesting question, so do try it out once and then you can have a look at the solution. In a flood affected village, there were 500 adult residents. They planned to construct a dam to overcome the situation. Each of the men contributed a sum equal to the number of women in the village, and each woman a sum equal to the number of men. So let's say, for example, there were M men and W women in this village. What we are saying is, what was the contribution? The contribution was each man contributed a sum equal to the number of women, so W, and each woman a sum equal to the number of men, so M is what they contributed. We also know that the total number of residents in this village is 500. So we know that M plus W is equal to 500. This is the first part. The second part is that we know that the village chief came to know about this and contributed an amount equal to the contribution of the villagers. The total contribution then became 2.4 lakhs. So whatever the villagers had contributed, the village chief contributed the same amount, because of which it would have doubled, and that doubled figure is 2.4 lakhs. So can we say that the total contribution of men, which is M into W, plus the total contribution of women, that is W into M, is going to be equal to 1,20,000 or 1.2 lakhs. So this is what it's going to look like. So MW plus WM is 1,20,000. So twice MW is going to be equal to 1,20,000, or in other words, MW is going to be equal to 60,000. Now we can use the options, because which of the following could be the number of men in the village. So we will just have a look at the options and see what happens. If the number of men were 150, then the number of women should have been 350, because total of 500 people are there in this village. But 150 into 350 is not going to give me 60,000. So that is not my answer. 250 into 250 again is not going to give me 60,000 as the answer. It will be 62,500. 300 into 200 is definitely going to be 60,000. So this could be my answer. The question is about possibilities. So only one option has to be correct. And if this is 350, then of course the number of women becomes 150. We again have the same case as we had in the first option. So even this will not be the right answer. So the correct answer to this question is going to be option C, that is 300. The number of men could be 300 or 200. We can also solve this using or by making this a quadratic, but that will be slightly painful. So it's better to use options. You can also use observations. I need two numbers to add up to 500 and their product should be 60,000. So what is the split? You should ideally know that because 60,000 has 4 zeros, you should be multiplying a number in or that ends in 00 with another number that ends in a 00 in most cases, and that is basically how you will get the answer to this question. So you will still be able to get the answer as 300. So the number of men in this village could be 300. It could also have been 200, but of course 200 is not in our options, so the answer here is 300. Let's look at this question. So try this question again on your own, then have a look at the solution. Spoiler, this question is slightly easier to do. So try this. Now, the Road Transport Corporation has hired a consultancy firm to determine the standard time that should be taken for a journey between two local destinations. The consultant, after a detailed study and discussion, all this is story, so we need not really focus on this, in his report that the time of journey is proportional to the product of the square root of the number of passengers and the distance to be covered. So the time taken for the journey, time of a journey is proportional to the product of the square root. So there are product of two things. One is the square root of the number of passengers. So I'll say root of n, let's say, where n is the number of passengers, and the distance to be covered. Right? So, and the distance to be covered is slightly important because a lot of people might also do root of n into d. But you have to understand one thing, we are saying only the square root of the number of passengers and the distance to be covered. So, the square root of number of passengers and the distance to be covered. So, the square root does not cover the distance as well. So, the distance is a separate thing entirely. So, t is directly proportional to root n into d. That is what we know. For two distinct trips, the times taken are in the ratio of 2:1. So times taken are in the ratio of 2:1. So let's say the time taken here is 2 parts. This is 1 part. Now this will be equal to root of n1 by root of n2 multiplied by d1 by d2. This is what we are going to have. But we also know that the distances covered are 80 kilometers and 30 kilometers respectively. So d1 is 80, d2 is 30. We also know that the second bus has 64 passengers. So the number of passengers here is 64. We have to figure out what is root of n1. So we can cancel out 0 and 0 from 80 and 30. We can also say that this is 2 4s are 8. Root of 64 is going to be 8. So 4 will get cancelled with this 8 and we will get a 2 here, which basically means that root of n1 is going to be equal to 2 times 3, that is equal to 6, or the value of n1 will be 36. So how many passengers should be there in the first bus? There should be 36 passengers that should be present in the first bus. Let's look at the next question. Now this is mostly something that you will be able to solve by observation. So try this, see if you are able to get it, and if you are able to get it, then great. You should pat yourself on the back and just move on to the next question. Right? So if you look at this one, there are two ways to do this. The sides of a right-angled triangle are a plus x and a plus 2x, with a and x being both positive. We have to find the ratio of a to x. Now one thing you can do here is you can use the options. So if a is 3 and x is 1, then what are the sides? 3, 3 plus 1, that is 4, and 3 plus 2, that is 5. 3, 4, 5 is absolutely a right angled triangle. So this is my answer and I'm done with it. I need not even go to the other options and check because we have to select only one option. And if the first option works, so be it. Even if you look at the next option, we are going to get 5. 5 plus 2 is 7 and 5 plus 4 is going to be 9. Now 5, 7, 9 is not a right angled triangle. What about 2 and 1? You will get a triangle 2, 3, 4, which is again not a right angled triangle, and 3:4 will give you 3 plus 4, 7 plus 4, 11, which is not a triangle technically. Right? So this is something that you will be able to understand, and you will know that B, C, D are not my answers. That's why option A is my answer. If you are a purist and you want to do it the technical way and make sure that you arrive at the answer organically, there is also a way to do this. Now we know that right angle triangle and sides, there is only one property that we should be thinking about, and that is Pythagoras theorem. So Pythagoras theorem is what we are expected to apply here. So what will happen? A square, sum of the two shorter sides of a triangle, because a and x are both positive. A plus x and a plus 2x will be such that a plus 2x will be the longest side. So a square plus a plus x the whole square will give me a plus 2x the whole square. So I'll be able to get a square plus 2 times a into x plus x square. This will be equal to a square plus 2 into a into 2x, or 4ax plus 4 times x square. 2x the whole square will be 4x square. Now if you just combine all the terms and see what's happening, a square plus a square minus a square, or you can cancel out these two a squares, I'll be left with an a square here, plus 2ax is as it is, but here you are going to get a square plus 2ax plus x square, and you are going to get 4ax plus 4x square here. So let's bring everything to the left hand side and see what happens. So a square plus 2ax minus 4ax is going to give me minus 2ax and plus 4x square, and you have this x square here, it will come here and it will give us minus 3x square equals 0. So something like this you are going to get here. What we can do here is we can also look at it like this. A square minus 2ax. So a square minus 2ax, if I had plus x square here, my life would have been so nice. So I will just put a square minus 2ax plus x square so that I get a square. But because I have added an x square, I will also have to subtract an x square just to keep the equation constant. So these two will get cancelled, and anyway we are going to get this. What you could have also done is, instead of doing all these, you could have just transferred only this here, and you would have still got a square minus 2ax plus x square. But what we are planning to do here is we are planning to write this as a minus x the whole square, this part. This will be equal to minus x square minus 3x square will go to the right hand side and will become 4x square. Now if you take square root on both sides, you are going to get a minus x equals 2x, because root of 4x square is 2x, a minus x square, the root is a minus x. And because we are dealing with sides and positive terms, we will be able to take the square root only in the positive sense. So we are going to get a equals x plus 2x, that is 3x. So what is going to be the ratio of a to x? 3:1. And that is why you are going to get option A as the answer. But observation trumps everything else. If you are able to observe and solve this, you will be in a lot less trouble compared to doing this and maybe making some mistake somewhere and then getting stuck and not being able to answer the question. Let's look at this question. Again, a very interesting, nice, easy question for you to solve. So you can just have a look at it and then you can have a look at the solution that will follow. So here you have a square equals by plus cz, b square equals cz plus ax, c square equals ax plus by. So that is what you have here. Now if you take random values, you say that, let's say a equals b equals c equals 1. So in this case, you are going to get b plus c equals, or if you say a equals b equals c equals 1, you are going to get y plus z equals 1, x plus z equals 1, and x plus y equals 1, let's say. But then you will not really have a way to break through that part, and you'll find it a bit difficult to solve this. So the easier way for you is to understand what exactly is happening here. So I know that a square equals by plus cz. Now I can see that I have by and cz here because a square is here. I have cz and ax here because b square is here. No b term will be on the right hand side. And I have ax and by here because c square is on the left hand side. So what I can do is I can add a square. I can add ax to both sides, and I am going to get a square plus ax is equal to ax plus by plus cz. Same thing if I do with b square, what I will do is I will add the missing term to both sides. I will add by. I am again going to get ax plus by plus cz. Similarly, if I look at the third term, if I just add c square plus cz, if I do this, then I will get ax plus by plus cz on the right hand side. And all three of them now become equal. So what am I going to see here? I'm going to say that all of them are equal in nature. So what's going to happen? A square plus ax, or in other words, a into a plus x will be equal to b into b plus y will be equal to c into c plus z. So these will be the ones that will be equal, and they will all be equal to ax plus by plus cz. We can also say that they are equal to k just for the sake of simplicity. So that's what we are going to get here. Now what is going to happen? We know x upon a plus x plus y upon b plus y plus z upon c plus z. So that is what we have here. So what can we do about this particular bit? So if you want to understand what needs to be done here, we have to understand one small thing. Let's say we are looking at a into a plus x, right? So if you are looking at a multiplied by a plus x being equal to k, then in other words, we will be able to say that 1 upon a plus x, in this case, 1 upon a plus x will be equal to a upon k. That is what we are going to get here, right? 1 upon a plus x is a by k. So what can we say about x upon a plus x? It's going to be ax by k. That is what we are going to get here. Similarly, I know that 1 upon b plus y is going to be equal to b upon k. So I will be able to say that y upon b plus y will be equal to by divided by k. Similarly, I will be able to say that z upon c plus z will be equal to cz divided by k. So if I add everything, what am I going to get? I am going to get ax by k plus by k plus cz by k. But what is ax plus by plus cz? It is also equal to k. So I am going to get the answer as k by k or equals 1. So the answer to this question is going to be numerical. Although there are no numbers in this entire question, the answer here is going to be 1, which is going to be the value of the expression that has been given to us. Now let's have a look at the next question. If 29 goats can feed on a field of uniformly grown grass in 7 days, or 25 goats can feed on the same field in 9 days, how many goats will feed in 6 days? So although you might think that is a very easy question, you will try something, but you will not find the options to be matching your expectations. The problem here is there is one small concept that is involved, which a lot of you might not be able to think of, which is that grass grows uniformly. Which also means that whenever the goats are grazing, suddenly the grass does not start growing, does not stop growing. It will keep on growing as well. So what we know here is that there is some amount of grass that is already present. And when the goats are grazing for 7 days in the first case, the grass would have grown for 7 days as well. So let's say the amount of grass to start with is f. I'm taking f because f is the fixed amount of grass that is available. Now in 7 days, there would be some amount of grass that would have been growing every day as well. Let's say the amount of grass that grows every day is v. So in 7 days, 7v grass would have grown on this particular field. Now this is going to be equal to 29 goats that are feeding, right? So 29 goats can feed on this thing for 7 days. So let one goat eat g amount of grass every day. So 29 goats will eat 29 g amounts of grass in one day, but in 7 days it will be 29 g times 7. Similarly, if you look at the second part, f is the amount of grass that was already there. 9v will be the amount of grass that would have grown in 9 days that these goats were grazing this field. And in terms of the amount of grass that would have been consumed, if one goat again consumes g amount of grass per day, 25 goats would have consumed 25 g amounts of grass on one day or in one day. And in 9 days, they would have consumed so much amount of grass multiplied by 9. Now this will be 29 into 7, which is going to be 203 times g. 30 into 7 minus 7, so 210 minus 7 is 203 g. 25 into 9 is 225 times g. Now on the basis of these two equations, if you subtract the first equation from the second equation, you are going to get 2v equals 225 minus 203, or 25 minus 3, that is 22g. So 2v will be equal to 22g. That is what we know here. We have to figure out how many goats will feed in 6 days. So let's try this. There is already f amount of grass that is available on this field. 6 days, the amount of grass that will freshly grow is going to be 6v. This will be equal to the amount of grass that is eaten by a goat in 6 days. So what we are going to get here is, let's say for example, there were x goats that were there. Each goat consumes g amount of grass every day and they are on the field for 6 days. So this is what it will look like. Now I know that 2v is equal to 22g. That tells me that v equals 11g. Now some of you might want to find v equals 11g, alright. So 7v will be equal to 77g, 203 minus 77 will be 126. That is one way of doing it, but you can also think about it like this. F plus 6v is what we are supposed to find out. I know f plus 7v is 203. If f plus 7v is 203 and v is equal to 11g, f plus 6v is nothing but f plus 7v minus v in a way. Now this is nothing but f plus 7v is 203g. 203g minus 11g is going to be 192 times g. Now 192 times g will be equal to x into g into 6. So g will get cancelled out. 6 and 192 should get cancelled out. 6 3s are 18 and we are left with a 12. So 2. So the value of x will be equal to 32 here, and that's why 32 goats will be able to feed in 6 days, because there are fewer days and there are more goats that will be able to consume the amount of grass that you will have in 6 days. So 32 is the answer to this question. Let's have a look at the next one. In an election, each voter may vote for 2 candidates. Half of the voters vote for A and so on and so forth. So have a look at this, try this out, and then we can have a look at the solution. In an election, each voter may vote for 2 candidates. Fine. Half of the voters vote for A, but divide their votes between B, C and D. So let's say for example, there are X voters. So X by 2 will happen here, but I don't want X by 2. So what will I do? I will take it as 2X. Let's say if I take this as 2X, X voters vote for A, but divide their votes. Now, we are not talking about X voters voting for A and dividing the other people's votes. No, because this is a special kind of election wherein two candidates are voted for. So half of the voters voted for A, but these half voters again split their votes between B, C and D in the ratio 3:2:1. So instead of taking this as X, it will be best if we can take the number of voters who vote for A as 6X. That would make my life easier. Half of the voters will mean that, let's say the total number of voters is 12X. And that is basically how we arrive at this figure. So let's start with this and see if this works for the other part as well. So I know that there is a total of 12X voters who are there, who are kind of registered, let's say. Half of these voters vote for A. So 6X voters are going to vote for A, but divide their votes between B, C and D. So the second person that they're voting for could either be B, C or D. So these 6X people will now be split in the ratio of 3:2:1, which basically means 3X people would have voted for B as well, 2X people would have voted for C in addition to A, and X people would have voted for D in addition to A. Of the remaining, so out of 12X, 6X are done. Of the remaining, half vote for B. So 3X people would have voted for B now. That is what we know here. And divides their votes between C and D in the ratio 2:1. So B and A will not happen because B and A has already happened here. But C and D is going to happen in the ratio of 2:1. So if this is 3X, I know that C is going to be voted by 2X people and D is going to be voted by X people in addition to B. So that is what we know. Of the remaining, 6X, 3X are done. So we are left with 3X. Of the remaining, half vote for C and D. So 1.5X will vote for C and D. And the remaining 840 do not vote for anyone. So I have to understand 6X, 3X, 1.5X is already done. So we are done with 10.5X. So 840 corresponds to 1.5X. That is what I know. We have to figure out how many votes were received by A, B, C and D respectively. So how many votes were received by A? A received 6X votes from here and then nothing else. So I'll just put A equals 6X here for the time being, then we will see what we can do about this. A equals 6X. What about B in this case? B received 3X votes here and B received 3X votes here. So B also should have received 3X votes. What about C? C would have received 2X votes here, C would have received 2X votes here, and C would have received 1.5X votes here. So 2 plus 2 plus 1.5 is 5.5X, let's say. And what about D here? D has received X votes from here, another X votes from here, and 1.5X votes from here. So D is going to receive 3.5X votes. And you will be able to see that this is 12 X that we have, and 8 plus 1 is 9. So 21X votes would have happened. And again, of course, 1.5X people didn't vote. So that is basically what this looks like, purely because each person is voting twice. That is the idea. And 1.5X people are voting exactly once. So something like that is happening. So 10.5X voters would have voted, which means 21X votes would have been cast, which is this 21 that we are going to get. 21X votes is what we are going to get. So just for your understanding, I have written this, but I know that 1.5X is 840. So what is going to be 6 times X? So 1.5 into 4 gives me 6. So 840 into 4. So 3200 plus 160. The value for A should be 3360. So my option C and D cannot be my answers. B is 6X, which is again 3360. But in both the options, we have 3360 here, so not a problem. This one is what we have to look at. Now, if you look at 5.5X, it is very close to 6X. So this and this, I'm more tempted to go for this one. And 3.5X is definitely less than 5.5X. So in this particular case, D is getting fewer votes compared to C. In this case, D is getting more votes compared to C. So my answer should be option A. I can also try this and figure it out. So 5.5X is what I'm looking at. If X is 840 divided by 1.5, then what is 5.5 times X? This is what we are going to get. So 5 3s are 15, 5 11s are 55, and we are going to get 280 here. 280 into 11 will be 11 zeros are 0, 11 8s are 88, 11 2s are 20, 2 plus 8 is 30. So 3080 will be the value of 5.5X, and of course 3.5X automatically will come to 1960. And that's why the answer to this question is going to be option A. Let's have a look at this question. Given that 2 raised to X equals 4 raised to Y equals 8 raised to Z, and X, Y, Z equals 288 here, what is the value of 1 by 2X plus 1 by 4Y plus 1 by 8Z? Very easy question. So try this out and then you can have a look at the solution. Now we know that 2 raised to x equals 4 raised to y. But 4 is nothing but 2 square. So this becomes 2 square the whole raised to y. 8 is 2 cubed. So this becomes 2 cubed the whole raised to z. So we can say that 2 raised to x equals 2 raised to 4y equals 2 raised to 3z. Or in other words, this will be 2y. So, or in other words, x will be equal to 2y and this will be equal to 3z. So this is what we have here. So we can plug in everything in this form and we will be able to get it. Now x into y into z is 288. So let's try to put everything in terms of x. So x will be as it is. Y we know is x by 2 because x equals to y. Y will be equal to x by 2. Similarly, z will be equal to x by 3 and the value of this is going to be 288. So what we can get here is x cubed is equal to 2 into 3 into 288. One way of doing it is factorizing, the other way is simple observation, but let's factorize and try this. So this will be 2 multiplied by 144, which is 2 multiplied by 72, which is 2 multiplied by 36, which is 2 multiplied by 18, which is 2 multiplied by 9, which is 3 multiplied by 3. So we are going to get 3 appearing twice. So x cube will have 3 copies of 3. I need just 1 copy in terms of x, so this will be 1. 2 into 2 into 2, I will have 1 more 2 that will be here, and 2 into 2 into 2, 1 more 2 that will be here. So 3 2s are 6, 2s are 12 will be the value of x here. So that is something that I'm going to get. And because I know that, okay, x is equal to 12, I will know that 2y will be equal to 12. Therefore, y will be equal to 2y is equal to 12. So y will be equal to 6 and 3z equals 12. So z will be equal to 4. Now we can just plug in the values and figure it out. 1 by 2x is 1 by 24 plus 1 by 4y is again 1 by 24 plus 1 by 8z is 1 by 32. Now the LCM of 24 and 32 is going to be 96. 24 4s are 96 and 32 3s are 96. So 96 will be my denominator. My numerator will be 4 because 24 into 4 is 96. So 4 by 96. Again 4 by 96 and finally 3 by 96. So my answer is going to be 8 plus 3, that is 11 by 96. So the correct answer here is option D for this particular question.